Life gives us many mirrors, some made of glass, some made of people, and some made of moments. But the most powerful mirror is the one that doesn't just show our face, it shows our truth. A mirror on the wall is not a question to the world, it's a question to ourselves. Who am I becoming, and is it someone I'm proud to meet every morning? Every day we stand before the mirror to adjust our hair, our clothes, our appearance. But how often do we stop and adjust our intentions, our emotions, our behaviors? The real reflection isn't what the eyes capture. It's what the heart carries. It's what the heart carries. The mirror can show you the dust on your face, but only awareness can show you the dust on your character. We live in a world where people often use mirrors to judge beauty, but very rarely to judge honesty. The mirror never lies. It won't tell you that you're right when you're wrong. It won't tell you that you're small when you're capable. And it won't tell you that you're broken when you're simply growing. The mirror just reflects what you bring to it. If you bring insecurity, it reflects doubt. If you bring gratitude, it reflects grace. If you bring courage, it reflects possibility. Every time you look in the mirror, remember this. You're not looking at a finished product. You're looking at a work in progress. That person staring back at you has survived storms, climbed mountains, and carried burdens nobody else saw. They deserve kindness from you. Too many of us offer compassion to the world, but criticism to ourselves. If we spoke to others the way we speak to ourselves, most relationships wouldn't survive a day. The mirror is not where you find flaws, it's where you find responsibility. What you see is not a problem, it's potential. What you see is not a limitation, it's a lesson. What you see is not a mistake, it's a message. The mirror helps you realize that you can't change your past, but you can shape your tomorrow by changing the person looking back at you today. So the next time you stand before the mirror, don't just correct your appearance, correct your mindset. Don't just fix your face, fix your focus. Don't just adjust your shirt, adjust your spirit. Speak to your reflection the way you would speak to someone you love. Because when you stop looking at the mirror as a judge and start looking at it as a companion, you'll realize it's not showing you who you are. It's showing you who you can become. And remember, the mirror is not on the wall. The mirror is wherever you decide to be real with yourself. When we stand in front of a mirror, the first thing we usually focus on is what is visible, our hair, our skin, our clothing, the way we present ourselves to the world. But a mirror, if we learn to use it correctly, can become much more than a piece of glass reflecting our physical form. It can become a powerful doorway into our inner world, a quiet teacher reminding us to pause, observe, and understand who we truly are beneath the layers of appearance. In our busy, outward-driven lives, we often forget that the reflection we see is not the full truth. It is only the surface. The deeper truth lies in the thoughts we carry, the emotions we hide, and the intentions that shape our choices. A mirror invites us into a rare moment of stillness. When we stand before it, there is nowhere else to run, nowhere else to run, nowhere else to hide. It shows us exactly what we bring to it. If we approach the mirror with self-doubt, we notice flaws. If we approach it with anxiety, we notice imperfections. But if we approach it with awareness, we begin to see something far more important, the person behind the eyes. We begin to see the story written in our expressions, the story of someone who has fallen but risen, of someone who has been hurt but healed, of someone who keeps trying even when life gets heavy. This is why a mirror can become a tool for self-awareness. It teaches us to recognize what is happening inside by noticing what we react to on the outside. Most people use mirrors to check their outward appearance, but very few use them to check their inward alignment. And for example, you may notice on some days that your face looks tired. Not because of lack of sleep, but because your heart is carrying something unsaid. On other days, your eyes may appear dim, not because of physical exhaustion, but because your mind is overwhelmed with worry. And then there are moments when your reflection surprises you with a soft glow. A glow that doesn't come from makeup or clothing, but from peace, gratitude, or contentment within. The mirror becomes a silent messenger, showing you what your inner world is experiencing even before you speak a word. This self-awareness is powerful because it allows you to make conscious changes. When you notice sadness in your eyes, you can choose to give yourself compassion. When you sense frustration in your expression, you can take a moment to breathe. When you see fear in your posture, you can remind yourself of the strength you've forgotten. The mirror becomes a place where transformation begins, not through judgment, but through understanding. In this way, the mirror stops being a critic and becomes a companion. It stops being a judge and becomes a guide. It no longer shows you what you look like, but who you are becoming. It invites you to align your inner world with your outer expression so that the person you show to the world is authentic, grounded, and aware. And that awareness becomes the foundation for everything: your peace, your decisions, your relationships, and your growth. This is why the mirror is not just for appearance. It is a tool to look deeper, reflect honestly, and reconnect with the person within, the one who deserves to be seen, understood, and cherished. A mirror can show you the shape of your face, the curve of your smile, or the wrinkles on your forehead. But it cannot show you the truth of your inner life unless you choose to look beyond the surface. Real reflection is not about adjusting your hair or straightening your clothes. It is about pausing long enough to notice what is happening beneath the surface. Our emotions, intentions, and behaviors form the core of who we are, and understanding them is what allows genuine transformation. Many people spend their lives trying to change their circumstances, but very few stop to examine the inner forces shaping those circumstances. When you look into the mirror, you are not just looking at a physical image. You are looking at the outcome of your inner world. Your emotions are like invisible colors painting your expression. Happiness softens your features. Stress tightens your jaw. Fear narrows your eyes. Gratitude brightens your face. Subtle shifts reveal what is occurring within you long before you consciously acknowledge it. If you allow yourself a quiet moment in front of the mirror, you may notice that your emotions speak through your reflection. A tired face may be asking for rest. A tense expression may be calling for forgiveness, either for yourself or someone else. A heavy gaze may be signaling that your heart is holding on to something that needs to be released. But emotions alone do not define you. What truly shapes your life are your intentions. Intentions are like the roots beneath a tree, unseen, but determining everything that grows above them. You may smile at others, but what is the intention behind that smile? Is it genuine kindness, or is it an attempt to hide pain? You may work hard every day, but what is driving that work? Is it passion, fear, competition, or a desire for approval? When you begin to observe your intentions, you begin to understand yourself on a deeper level. This kind of reflection helps you separate what you do from why you do it. And that distinction is the key to growth. Your behaviors are the most visible part of this inner structure. How you speak, how you react, how you treat people, and how you handle difficult moments are all reflections of the emotional landscape and intentions within you. A sudden outburst of anger might come from an unresolved feeling of hurt. A habit of avoiding conversations might come from fear of confrontation. A tendency to please others might come from insecurity. When you examine your behaviors with honesty rather than judgment, you begin to see patterns that have influenced your life for years. Patterns that can finally be changed once they are recognized. True reflection happens when you stand before your own life, the way you stand before a mirror, without filters, without excuses, and without fear. It is not about criticizing yourself, it is about understanding yourself. When you observe your emotions, intentions, and behaviors, you gain clarity. That clarity helps you grow from your past instead of running from it. It helps you take responsibility without blaming yourself. It helps you move forward with purpose instead of drifting through your days. This kind of reflection transforms not only how you see yourself, but also how you show up in the world. It makes you more patient, more conscious, more compassionate. It allows you to act with awareness rather than impulse. And slowly over time, it shapes you into someone who doesn't just see their reflection. They understand it taught. One of the most fascinating truths about a mirror is that it is incapable of deception. It does not flatter, it does not criticize, and it does not adjust its reflection based on your mood. It simply shows what is already there. Yet so often we blame the mirror for showing us what we are not ready to accept. The mirror never lies. What changes is the mind looking into it. If we bring insecurity, the mirror reflects inadequacy. If we bring confidence, it reflects strength. If we bring fear, it reflects hesitation. The mirror doesn't create these things, it simply returns what we give. This is a powerful reminder about life itself. In every relationship, every situation, every challenge, life reflects back to us the energy we bring. If we approach situations with negativity, we often see negativity. If we look at people with suspicion, we interpret their actions suspiciously. If we look at the world through a lens of gratitude, suddenly everything seems like a blessing. The mirror teaches us that our perception is shaped more by what is inside us than by what is in front of us. The reflection you see is not just a physical image, it is a representation of your inner state. Imagine a day when you wake up feeling overwhelmed. You stand before the mirror and immediately notice stress in your expression. Your mouth feels heavier, your shoulders seem tired, your posture feels smaller. On another day, when you feel hopeful or inspired, the same mirror shows brightness in your eyes and softness in your smile. The mirror hasn't changed, it is your inner world that has shifted. This simple observation reveals a deep truth. Most of what we interpret as flaws or imperfections are not physical at all, they are emotional shadows we carry within us. The mirror also teaches us about responsibility. When something in our reflection bothers us, the mirror does not fix it for us. It does not adjust the wrinkle, erase the scar, or lift the tiredness from our eyes. It simply points it out and leaves the rest to us. In the same way, life will show us our mistakes, our patterns, and our behaviors, not to shame us, but to help us grow. The universe acts like a mirror, reflecting back the consequences of our choices, the intentions behind our actions, and the energy we contribute to our surroundings. This honesty is a gift. Many people in our lives may be unwilling or afraid to tell us the truth about ourselves. Some might sugarcoat it, some might avoid it, and some might distort it. But the mirror always tells the truth, even when we don't want to hear it. It doesn't hide our tiredness, our sadness, or our discomfort. And because it cannot lie, it becomes a place where authenticity begins. When we accept what the mirror shows us, we start accepting what life is trying to teach us. But this truth should not intimidate us. It should empower us. It should empower us. Because if the mirror only reflects what we bring to it, then we have the power to change the reflection at any time. Change your mindset and the reflection shifts. Change your attitude and the reflection evolves. Change your inner world and the outer image begins to glow differently. The mirror is not a judge. It is a reminder that transformation begins from within. The mirror's honesty is not harsh. It is liberating. It frees us from pretending. It frees us from denial. It frees us from running away from our own truth. And when we embrace that truth, even the reflection staring back at us begins to feel like a friend rather than a critic. A mirror may show the same face every day, but it never shows the same reflection. The reflection changes not because your features transform overnight, but because your mindset does. Two people with identical appearances can look completely different depending on what they are thinking and feeling. This reveals a profound truth. The mind is the real artist behind your reflection. It paints your expression, shapes your posture, colors your eyes, and influences the energy you carry. And the moment your mindset shifts, the entire reflection shifts along with it. Think about the days when you feel discouraged. You look in the mirror and everything seems dull. Your shoulders appear lower, your smile feels forced, and your eyes carry a heaviness that words cannot describe. On such days, nothing on your face has physically changed. Yet the reflection looks tired because your mind is tired. The inner narrative, I'm not enough. This is too hard, nothing is working, creates a fog that settles over your expression. You're not seeing your feelings, you're seeing your feelings. Now imagine a different day, one filled with hope or gratitude or excitement. Suddenly the same mirror seems kinder. Your eyes appear brighter, your posture feels open, your face carries a quiet glow even before you smile. Not your appearance, your mindset. The internal dialogue that morning might have been, I can handle this. A life is opening new doors, or I'm grateful for what I have. These thoughts create a light that naturally rises to the surface, revealing itself in your reflection. This is why people often say, you look different today, even when you haven't changed anything externally. They are responding to the shift in your inner atmosphere. Your mindset becomes a filter, affecting not only how you see yourself, but also how the world sees you. Confidence adds presence. Peace adds softness. Gratitude adds radiance. Purpose adds sharpness. Love adds warmth. These qualities cannot be applied like makeup. They emerge from within. Understanding this gives you a powerful tool. If you want to change how you appear, you don't have to start with the outside. You can begin by adjusting the inside. When you work on the mind, the mirror naturally responds. If you replace doubt with clarity, your eyes will show calmness. If you replace anger with understanding, your face will show softness. If you replace fear with courage, your expression will show determination. The mirror is only the final stage of a process that begins deeply within. This realization also teaches you compassion for yourself. Some days, you may not like what you see, not because you are unattractive, but because your mind is carrying heaviness. Instead of criticizing yourself, you can pause and ask, oh, what am I thinking right now? What am I feeling? What do I need? What do I need? In that moment, the mirror becomes not a place of judgment, but a place of dialogue. It becomes a space where you check in with yourself emotionally, not cosmetically. And as a mindset evolves over time, your entire presence evolves with it. A person who works on their inner world inevitably begins to look different, calmer, more grounded, more alive. Their face carries experience, resilience, softness, and strength. This transformation cannot be forced. It is the natural outcome of an awakened mind. When your thoughts grow healthier, your reflection grows brighter. Ultimately, the mirror reflects your mindset, not your makeup. And when you learn to shape your inner world with intention, the person staring back at you becomes someone you are proud to meet each day. There is a strange paradox in human nature. We are often incredibly gentle with others, but ruthlessly harsh with ourselves. When a friend makes a mistake, we comfort them. When a loved one feels insecure, we reassure them. When someone we care about feels overwhelmed, we tell them to rest, breathe, and take things slowly. But when we make a mistake, when we feel insecure, or when we struggle, we become our own most unforgiving critic. We demand perfection from ourselves while offering patience to everyone else. The mirror becomes a battlefield instead of a place of healing. But the truth is simple. You deserve the same compassion that you give so freely to others. The softness you show to the world is not meant to exclude you. If you can understand someone else's pain, you can understand your own. If you can forgive someone else's shortcomings, you can forgive your own. State of awe. If you can encourage someone else through difficulty, you can encourage yourself too. Compassion is not meant to be selective. It is meant to be a way of living toward others and toward yourself. Self-compassion begins with acknowledging that you are human. You will make mistakes. You will fall short. You'll have days when your emotions are messy, your mind is tired, and your heart feels heavy. These moments are not signs of weakness. They are signs of being alive. Instead of judging yourself for these moments, you can choose to respond with kindness. You can tell yourself it's okay. I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm trying. These words might seem simple, but they hold immense power. They soften your inner world the way warm light softens a shadow. Consider how you speak to someone you love when they are struggling. You would never say, you're useless, you'll never improve, or you're a failure. Yet these are the exact words many people say to themselves in the privacy of their own minds. If we spoke to others the way we speak to ourselves, many relationships would fall apart. But self-compassion teaches us to become our own ally, not our own enemy. It teaches us to build an internal friendship, one based on understanding, not criticism. When you stand in front of the mirror, instead of focusing on what is wrong, you can focus on what is real. You can see a person who has endured more than they admit, who has grown more than they realize, who has survived storms nobody else knew about. You can choose to honor that resilience rather than condemn the imperfections. The person in the mirror is doing the best they can with the experiences, wounds, and lessons life has given them. They deserve encouragement, not blame. They deserve patience, not pressure. Self-compassion is not about avoiding responsibility. It is about accepting responsibility without destroying your spirit in the process. It is about saying, I made a mistake, but I am still worthy, instead of, I made a mistake, so I am broken. It is about reminding yourself that growth takes time and that healing is not linear. It is about giving yourself permission to rest, to feel, to breathe, and to begin again. When you offer yourself compassion, you strengthen your relationship with your own heart. You begin to treat yourself with the same dignity and care that you naturally extend to others. And slowly, the mirror becomes a place not of judgment but of recognition. A place where you meet not your flaws but your humanity. When people look into a mirror, their first instinct is often to search for what is wrong. A wrinkle, a spot, a line, a scar. Something that needs to be corrected. But the mirror was never designed to show flaws. It was designed to show reality. And within that reality lies responsibility. The responsibility to take care of yourself, to understand yourself, and to grow from what you see. The mirror doesn't point out your flaws to embarrass you. It points out your truth so you can learn from it. In life, we often interpret uncomfortable truths as flaws. If the mirror shows tired eyes, we think it is a flaw, when in reality, it is a sign that we need rest. If it shows worry on our face, we think we look bad, when really, it is a reminder that we are carrying burdens that need attention. If it shows sadness in our expression, we call it weakness, when it is simply an invitation to heal. The mirror reveals what is inside, not to punish you, but to help you take responsibility for your well-being. This is an important shift. Instead of asking, "Oh, what is wrong with me?" you begin asking, "What is this reflection trying to tell me?" That question alone can change your entire relationship with yourself. When you take responsibility, you stop blaming circumstances, you stop hiding behind excuses, and you stop seeing yourself as a victim of your own reflection. You recognize that the reflection is not an enemy, it is a guide. Responsibility means acknowledging that your inner world needs care. If your reflection looks tired, you take responsibility by resting, not by criticizing yourself. If your reflection looks stressed, you take responsibility by simplifying your life or calming your mind. If your reflection looks distant, you take responsibility by reconnecting with yourself, your purpose, or the people who matter. This is how the mirror becomes a tool for self-growth, by showing you what needs attention, not what deserves judgment. People often fear the mirror because they fear honesty. They worry that their reflection will expose parts of themselves they don't want to confront: pain, regret, insecurity, disappointment. But confronting these things is not a punishment. It is the beginning of transformation. You cannot heal what you refuse to see. You cannot change what you avoid acknowledging. When you face your reflection with courage, you take the first step toward becoming the person you want to be. Responsibility also means accepting ownership of your emotions. If you notice frustration in your eyes, that might be pointing to unresolved anger. If you see sadness in your face, it might be pointing to a wound that needs closure. These emotions are not flaws, they are signals. And every signal calls for a response. When you understand this, you no longer stand in front of the mirror with fear. You stand in front of it with awareness. The mirror reveals responsibility in another way too. It reminds you that you have the power to change. If you don't like what you see, you're not stuck with it. You can adjust your thoughts, heal your emotions, and rebuild your mindset. You can grow, evolve, and transform. The mirror shows you the starting point, not the limitation. Ultimately, when you shift your perspective from flaws to responsibility, you begin to see your reflection as an invitation. A quiet, honest invitation to take better care of yourself, to understand your inner world, and to rise into the version of yourself you were always meant to become. When you look into a mirror, it's easy to believe you are seeing a finished version of yourself, as if the person staring back is complete, fixed, and defined. But the truth is far more beautiful and far more comforting. You are a work in progress, constantly evolving, learning, breaking, mending, and rising again. The mirror shows who you are in this moment, not who you will be forever. It captures a single frame in a long unfolding story. Too often, people judge themselves harshly based on the reflection they see today. They look at their tiredness and forget their resilience. They see the scars and forget the healing. They notice their mistakes and forget their growth. The mirror may show the present, but it cannot show the journey, the nights you stayed strong, the days you pushed through, the moments you chose kindness when anger felt easier, or the silent battles you fought without applause. Every reflection is only a snapshot, not the whole story. When you accept that you are a work in progress, you free yourself from the pressure of perfection. You no longer demand that everything be figured out. You stop expecting yourself to feel good all the time, succeed all the time, or carry yourself perfectly. You understand that growth takes time, and becoming who you are meant to be is a lifelong process. Just as a seed doesn't become a tree overnight, you don't become your best self in a single moment. It takes seasons of learning, seasons of healing, seasons of rebuilding, and sometimes seasons of letting go. Consider how many versions of yourself you've already lived through. The person you were 5 years ago, 1 year ago, or even yesterday is not the person you are today. Your beliefs have evolved, your priorities have shifted, your understanding has deepened. Life has shaped you with experiences, some pleasant, some painful, but all meaningful. When you stand before the mirror, you are seeing the sum of all those chapters, each one contributing to the person you are becoming. Recognizing that you are a work in progress also cultivates patience. You learn to give yourself time to grow into your strengths, to outgrow your habits, to heal from wounds, to discover new parts of yourself. You stop rushing your own evolution. You begin to trust the process, even when the progress feels slow or invisible. You understand that real transformation happens quietly, gradually within the heart, long before it becomes visible in the mirror. This mindset also invites humility. It reminds you that others are works in progress too. The reflection you see in another person is just as incomplete as your own. Everyone is carrying unseen stories, unspoken fears, silent hopes. When you understand that you are evolving, it becomes easier to offer grace to others as they evolve too. You stop expecting perfection from anyone, including yourself. Most importantly, seeing yourself as a work in progress turns the mirror into a place of hope. Instead of thinking, this is all I am, you begin to feel, this is where I am right now, and I can grow from here. You realize that your current reflection is not a limitation, but a beginning. It is an invitation to shape, to refine, to rise. Every time you look at your reflection, you are not seeing a finished product. You are seeing potential. You are seeing possibility. You are seeing the next version of yourself waiting to unfold. And that awareness gives you the courage to keep moving, keep learning, keep becoming. The words we speak to ourselves shape our reality more than the words spoken by anyone else. What we whisper silently in our minds becomes the lens through which we see the world, our reflection, and our own worth. Many people understand the importance of kindness in relationships, with friends, family, and even strangers, but forget that the most important relationship they will ever have is the one with themselves. And that relationship is built, strengthened, or damaged by the inner dialogue that repeats within the mind every day. When you stand in front of a mirror, your reflection listens to the way you address it. If you say, I'm not good enough, the reflection absorbs that pain. If you say, I look awful, the reflection carries that shame. If you say, I'm failing, the reflection dims with discouragement. But when you choose kindness, when you look at yourself with understanding, patience, and encouragement, the reflection begins to soften. The eyes grow gentler. The face relaxes. The heart opens. Words have power, and when those words are directed inward, that power is magnified. Self-talk is not just a mental habit, it is emotional nourishment. Just as the body needs food, the heart needs compassion. And when we deprive ourselves of kind words, we starve our own spirit. Many people believe that harshness motivates them, that criticism pushes them to improve. But in reality, harsh self-talk weakens the soul, drains motivation, and creates fear instead of growth. Kindness, on the other hand, provides strength. It gives courage. It builds resilience. A gentle word toward yourself can do what hundreds of harsh words never will. It can help you rise. Speaking kindly to yourself does not mean avoiding responsibility. It means carrying responsibility without destroying your self-worth in the process. It means saying, I made a mistake, but I can learn, instead of, I am the mistake. I'm the mistake. It means telling yourself, this is hard, but I can get through it, instead of, I am not strong enough. The tone you use with yourself becomes the foundation of your emotional stability. Think of how you would speak to someone you deeply love if they were struggling. You would not call them useless. You would not call them incapable. You would not insult their appearance, diminish their efforts, or attack their worth. You would support them, uplift them, remind them of their strengths, and encourage them to keep going. When you offer that same warmth to yourself, something profound happens. You begin to heal from within. This kind inner dialogue transforms your daily life. Challenges become manageable because you are no longer fighting against yourself. Failures become lessons because you approach them with understanding instead of shame. Insecurities lose their grip because you counter them with words of acceptance. Even your reflection in the mirror changes, not because your appearance changes, but because your energy does. You start to see the person looking back at you as someone deserving of love, patience, and kindness. Someone you are willing to support, someone worth believing in. Over time, kind self-talk becomes more than words. It becomes a way of living. It shapes your decisions, strengthens your relationships, and deepens your confidence. It brings peace where there was once self-criticism and clarity where there was confusion. And slowly, your inner world becomes a place you can finally call home, a place where your own voice supports you, guides you, and gently leads you toward becoming the best version of yourself. There comes a moment when the mirror on the wall stops being a physical object and becomes a symbol of the inner spiritual discipline we need to cultivate every single day. It reminds us that the greatest transformation does not happen in front of crowds, during achievements, or when we receive validation. It happens quietly in the privacy of our own hearts. When we learn to sit with ourselves honestly, free from pretense, masks, and expectations, we begin a journey toward profound inner freedom. This key point is about embracing that process of internal accountability, where the mirror, whether literal or symbolic, urges us to stop running from the truths we need to face. Most people try to escape themselves. They escape through distractions, through overthinking, through busyness, through scrolling endlessly, or through blaming others for how they feel. But the mirror teaches that until we stop and take responsibility for what is happening inside us, nothing outside will ever truly change. It tells us that growth is not about avoiding our flaws, but about acknowledging them with humility and courage. It requires asking questions we might resist. Am I living my life according to my own values or someone else's? Am I speaking truthfully or am I hiding behind excuses? Am I allowing fear to control me or am I choosing courage? The answers may sting at first because they illuminate areas where we are not fully aligned with who we want to be. But this honesty is not meant to punish. It is meant to awaken. It is in this moment of clarity that real growth, healing, and empowerment take root. The beauty of this inner mirror is that it teaches accountability without judgment. When you honestly evaluate yourself, you are not attacking who you are. You are observing with curiosity, compassion, and clarity. You see where you can improve, where you can let go, and where you can cultivate more love, patience, and understanding. You realize that your reflection is not fixed, it is dynamic, evolving with every choice, every thought, and every action. Each moment of honesty becomes a building block for a stronger, wiser, and more authentic self. Moreover, this mirror reminds us that external validation is temporary, but internal alignment is lasting. Compliments, applause, and approval from others are fleeting, but the peace that comes from knowing you are living in truth with integrity and awareness is enduring. When we measure our worth by external mirrors, we are always at the mercy of changing opinions. But when we embrace the inner mirror, we become self-reliant in the most profound way. We begin to see our growth, our resilience, and our potential in a light that no one else can dim. Every time we pause to reflect, whether in meditation, journaling, quiet contemplation, or even simply observing our reactions, we look into this inner mirror. It shows us what matters most: honesty, courage, empathy, and alignment with our higher self. And when we act from that place, our lives begin to mirror the values and intentions we hold within. We become a living reflection of our own truth. And that is the kind of mirror that matters far more than any glass on a wall. Ultimately, the real mirror is not the one that shows our face. It is the one that shows our heart. It is in moments of self-reflection, honesty, and conscious awareness that we truly see who we are, who we want to be, and how we can bridge the gap between the two.